but seeing Batman in the costume, in the mask,
Totally.
punching and kicking everybody back in the day, I'd come out the movie theater punching and kicking. I want to do that for the next kid, right? And that's always been the goal.
What's up, guys? Today's guest is an actor in the recently released feature film The Paper Tigers and is a special guest co-host on Corridor Digital Stuntmen React. Please welcome back to the JAMCast, Mr. Gui Dasilva. What up, dog?
Yeah, what up, bro?
Thanks for taking the long trek over here.
Oh, yeah, it was so long, bro. I had to walk, too. It was crazy.
For people that don't know, Gui lives about 30 seconds away from my front door.
Yep.
So.
We're neighbors.
Short walk. But no, it's crazy to think about, too. I was like looking back at the last time you were on. It was episode 7. And we're on episode 120 now.
Yep.
Almost 2 years has passed.
Grown so much. JAMCast has done so much.
It's the third location. Like, we went to NoHo and back here.
Right.
It's crazy.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it's crazy to see, though. But it's cool, like, the reason why I'm starting to invite homies back. Kyle Cordova is a recent person we have returned. Vlad Rimberg's been on multiple times. But the reason why I wanted to have you back is that a lot of the things we discussed are now starting to come true.
Right.
And it's cool that we can actually talk about, like, that transition.
Yeah, it's crazy that we could do that.
Crazy.
Now.
Yeah. Because for those that don't know, like, go check out Gui's first episode, number 7. We actually then really focused on your role as the Black Panther stunt double in Civil War.
Yep.
And we talked about how your next goal was to become more focused on acting and entering that realm. And like we said in the intro, you are an actor in the newly released film, The Paper Tigers.
Yep.
In theaters, select theaters now, and on video on demand on iTunes. I just bought it and watched it last night.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. What'd you think?
And as you know, as a friend of mine, I rarely watch anything.
Right. Gang Travis to watch something is very difficult.
And to be honest, especially if our friends are in it, I tend not to because I don't want to judge it.
Right.
So I watch stuff that's completely just entertainment value based. Like, I'm the guy that watches like those late night stupid comedies.
Yep.
Documentaries, cooking shows.
We're watching Ridiculous all the time together. Exactly. BC One Championship.
Exactly. That's the stuff that I'm into more so. But yeah, The Paper Tigers, man, it was probably, I think Armand said it best, like best, I guess, martial arts comedy of the year so far.
Yeah.
And it's dope, dude, because it has so many familiar faces.
Yes, it does.
Obviously, the characters, and I'm not going to ruin it for people to watch it, but the characters that you get to play alongside Yoshi Sudarso and Peter Sudarso.
Yep, which is really cool because they're like 2 Power Rangers, and my dream has always been to be a Power Ranger, which is actually really funny because so they're both Blue Rangers,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
And back when they did Samurai Power Rangers, I actually auditioned. And I auditioned for the Blue Ranger. So I was the Blue Ranger that didn't happen.
There's still hope. You still look young enough. You know?
Right? Yeah.
They be casting people hella old on Power Rangers.
They do. I think they're going adults now, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Smart.
so.
Yeah. And it is a small circle too, like our homie Marvin Ross, his girl is a Power Ranger.
Hunter. Shout out to Hunter. She's the new Pink Ranger, which is really dope.
Congratulations.
I don't want to be TV Power Ranger, though. I want to be movie Power Ranger.
Ooh. Yeah.
I want to do the movie.
Yeah, which would be dope if they bring one back.
I think they might. So let's put that out there.
But what's that like, though, like getting to act alongside Peter and Yoshi? Like, is it more comfortable because you have a rapport with them already that you've got to just eat into it,
I think it really helped that we all knew each other, including Mark Paletti, who played a younger version of another one of the other students that we're dealing with. But what it did was there was already a chemistry there. There was already some sort of friendship that we can build off of and play with. When we shot our part in Seattle, it was actually it was very little script. It was more so us having to just riff and improv off one another. And I think because of our friendship outside of working on this film, it just allowed us to play that even more and just expand it. And it made it really fun. Honestly, it was like really fun we were brothers really for a good 2 weeks in Seattle because we were just living in Airbnb together all in this house, and then we would go eat together, we would go work out together. Yoshi would make us all take shirtless pictures. And it was just one of those things we really got to really play the family thing, and it was just a breeze, you know?
Yeah, in that instance, I'd almost be worried that I would like slip up and say their regular names because I know them so well.
Right.
You know, like
right. That was probably the most challenging part.
Yeah.
Is like not saying "Hey Peter" or "Hey Yoshi,"
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, nah, you can't. You guys say, you know, "Ah Hang," and you.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's like, all right, cool. Like we'll just keep it like that.
And for those that are gonna watch the film or have already watched it, you'll probably see some other familiar faces in Andy and Brian Lee.
Yeah,
and
Marshall
Phillip.
Club.
Yeah, and Philip had a really good part too.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he killed it in that role. So with that being said, obviously Ron Yuan is a producer and he's in it as well.
Yeah.
How did you guys all get connected on this project? Did you have to audition or?
So I got hit up by Ken Kidogwa,
Okay.
one of the original members of Zero Gravity, and he was like, "Hey, we're working on a movie thing, and I think you'd be perfect for it. I'm talking to the director right now. Here are these sides. Read them." And Fernando Chen actually was helping me at the time because I would come whenever Fernando has like an audition back when he was living in Los Angeles. He would call me up and be like, "Hey, help me! Can you help me with the sides?" So that's how I started like really like, okay, I'm learning because I'm there. I'm watching a professional really go at it, you know, and trying to help him as best as I can because acting becomes a thing of service. You're really just trying to work with the other person. You have to play tennis in a sense, right?
Totally.
So he helped me, and they're like, "Oh, dope! We're gonna be coming into Los Angeles to look at a couple people." And Ken was like, "Hey, so come in at 6:00. You're the last audition. They're gonna look at some other guys, but I told him don't worry about it. It's just like you're the one." I was like, "All right, cool." Like I show up. I saw this one other light skinned brother walk in. He was a little bit bigger than me. I was like, he's like, "Don't worry about that. Come in." I was like, "All right, cool." You know, and Kerry Wong was there, which was really dope. Bao was there, the director. Michael was there, and Alan was there, and we just ran through a couple things, like kind of improv, seeing how I take direction and how I move. And then like 2 weeks go by, and then boom, they're like, "Hey, come out to Seattle and let's do this thing." And I was like, hell yeah, who else is here? Who else is in it? And it was like, oh, we have Yoshi, we have Peter, we have Mark. I was like, oh, easy. This is going to be fun. This is going to be super fun. So,
yeah, it's super rare to get on a project with like all of your homies in acting capacity. Like stunt jobs, we're always with all of our homies because they're hand selected by coordinators.
Right.
But yeah, that would be a unique process. And did you guys get to be up there at the same time as Andy and them, or was that a different time?
No, different time. So we did our stuff a year before they actually got funding for the film.
Oh,
so they used what me, Peter, and Yoshi and Mark did to sell to get money and to get the actors that they wanted to get for the film to actually be shot. And then they did everything in Seattle, and we weren't invited.
But they had already had your stuff.
But they already had our stuff, so it was perfect. It was supposed to be like the old time stuff, and it's shot on an old school camcorder, which is really dope. And so it's just
that's crazy.
Had that vibe.
Okay, so how long ago did you guys shoot your scenes?
So we shot our scenes in 2018, beginning of 2018. And then they start filming in August of 2019, summer of 2019.
Damn, that's wild. So it really puts it into perspective for those people like that aren't as familiar with the film industry as we are. Like something you did in 2018, you're just seeing the fruits of your labor now.
You're just seeing it now. So I'm a lot better, just so y'all know.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing that I was going to say is like, you know, one thing we always talk about is like, oh, I'm just waiting on footage.
Right.
And it really is true in a lot of sense of the way. It's like, unless you're going out there and doing short films on your own and these projects that have, you know, short release times, you can wait 3 years.
Right. And for for the film to actually come to fruition, it took another 2 years before.
Yeah.
Because they shot another proof of concept in order to get money to do what we did, to get money to what ended up becoming the movie, right?
Yeah.
And that had Andy Lay in it. So they kept it in the family, which is really cool. And it was done by indie film martial art guys.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, it's a really cool win to see come to fruition. It took some time. We had to be patient, but you know, it came out and it's like, hell yeah. Like, bro, you have no idea. Like trying to get representation outside of stunts in a sense is a very interesting journey, you know, because they look at my resume and they see like all these big names like, oh, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel, Disney, you know, also, but they're like, but that's stunt stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and so they treat me. So I'm back. It's like being a black belt and then walking into a gym and they're like, no, you put this white belt back on.
Yeah.
And we're gonna just run you through everything again, and you gotta go through it all again. And it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of perseverance, and it takes a stubborn mind, I think, to be willing to go back in order to go forward again.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel that sense in a lot of ways, like with coordinating. Like I felt like I was killing the game, I'm on all the biggest blockbusters, and now when I start coordinating again, I'm like lowest rung on the totem pole,
right,
as far as coordinator credits. So I'm having to do like non-union jobs, low
exactly.
budget music videos.
Yes.
Like, I feel like I'm starting my career over again, but it's like, you have, if you want to dedicate yourself to trying to obtain that next level, sometimes you got to go backwards.
It's the phoenix.
It's
right?
crazy.
Burn yourself and then you regrow from the ashes, in a sense.
Yeah, it is very, very unique. Along the lines of like, what you said, what was so cool about that film, and when I saw the ending credits was like seeing names like, like you said, Kerry Wong. I saw Sam Locke's name on there. A lot of the guys from like the old school generations of indie films when we grew up watching. I know one of the other things you did since we last talked on here, there was like a very publicized independent film project was along with a friend of ours, Chris Cowan.
Yes.
And you guys had tried to delve into the My Hero Academia world by doing your own, 3-part series, or how many was it total in the end?
It was 3 parts.
3 parts in the end, right?
Yeah.
And that was released on Chris's channel, Riven X3i, the one that has all the other crazy fan films. And what is the state of that project? Did you guys ever actually break through and were able to get a green light from the people that had the licensing over it? Or?
So at the moment, Legendary has the licensing, I think, to live action My Hero Academia. We have not been able to break through. Okay. We're trying to get a meeting. We're definitely trying to get a meeting. So if anybody who has connects with Legendary, please help us with that. Because that would be really great to be able to do. Because we feel that the biggest thing was, where, when you see fan films or live action adaptations, all it's doing is just taking from the material and then trying to regurgitate it, right?
Yeah, and that's when people judge it because they're like, he doesn't look like so-and-so.
Exactly, and then it also does like there's cultural differences, right? So the reason why everybody loves My Hero Academia is because the Japanese writer, he took from American comics and then incorporated those ideas into what is in Japanese culture, and it works perfectly, right? So for us, we wanted to do kind of taking their culture and the things that they like and the things that we love from them and combining it with ours. So we were all about adding and bringing to rather than just taking from.
Okay.
So that's always been our goal. That's always our message when it comes to UALA, My Hero Academia, was like, we're trying to add to the story. We're trying to expand the universe, and we're not trying to just take.
Yeah,
but
and just still exist within the same parameters of the existing
So
universe.
that's like our motto in a sense when it comes to UALA, and hopefully we'll I feel like the bigger I can get as a name, as an actor, the more possibilities we can get in the room. The bigger Chris gets as a director, the more possibilities we can get in the room. The more Haley becomes as a writer, so on and so forth. Like we just have to grow, and I think it just takes a little bit of time,
Yeah, it's crazy because in itself, the 3 shorts have amassed millions of views online.
Right.
I mean, you can tell when a project's successful when there are reaction videos based on that project.
Right.
And those videos have hundreds of thousands of views. People reacting to the video, I'm like, yo, this is crazy.
This is fire.
Yeah. But obviously, like you said, like as you guys' names continue to grow, Chris Cowan, for those that don't know, is on the rise as an incredible action designer, second unit director. He just helped, was instrumental in Shang-Chi, which is coming out from Marvel. I just got to work with him on reshoots on that.
Which is so cool that he pulled you on.
Dude, do you know the story of how that happened?
No.
Oh, man, we should delve into this because right now, Gui dragged me onto a project I'm working on too right now.
I totally did. I was like, yo, Travis definitely should be a part of this.
Yo, 2021 has been the year of performing in my life. You know me, like I perform like 2 days a year.
Right.
God damn, 2021, I've been pushing my body to the limits.
You've been doing a lot 2021, to be fair.
I fought in high heels this year already once. But yeah, on Shang-Chi, and this isn't giving away anything storyline-wise, so I can say this. But I got hit up by Lou, who was the fight coordinator on reshoots. And he called me and goes like, hey man, do you know anyone that's Asian that can do like Chinese weapons and could like learn fights pretty quick and without rehearsing? And then it was just silent. I was just silent. And then he goes, "Can you do it?" I was like, so you're asking me for, I was like, you want a recommendation or you want me to do it? And he's like, "Can you do it? I'm just nervous to ask you." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it for one day." And it was just because I knew Chris and them were involved, you know?
Yeah.
It's like super cool.
You know it's going to be dope.
Yeah, dude, it was cool. It was surreal to work with like a lot of the old homies. Like I got to see like George Creighton there, Hiro Manami, Ming Q. But then I got to see like the new wave of kids starting to make their break in, and I was like, damn, I'm the older guy now.
It's so crazy.
It's
like
weird.
I'm no longer the little kid on the team. No. It's so wild.
Now they ask me about stories and stuff.
Right.
I'm like, damn, really?
You asking me about how was what like? What?
Crazy.
Grilling me?
It's crazy to think about, man. Yeah, it's super crazy. And right now, like for those that don't know, like we can't give away the project we're necessarily working on, but for the last few weeks, we've been down. Anyone watching our Instagram seen we're on a project?
You see that we're working. See that Travis is in harness.
Man, I and that's the thing that's funny is like I took it because you're on it, Ben Jenkins on it. It's like
right, the boys,
yeah. But never did I imagine I would be playing multiple characters in a wire. But
and I was just, it's funny because it wasn't like that wasn't my thought when I was like, oh yeah, let's get Travis on.
Yeah, you were just trying to hook me up.
I was just like, yo, I want to work with Travis.
Yeah, it's so
you know.
funny.
So and then just I'm like the whole time like, I'm sorry, Travis.
The legend continues. It's like a running joke. Like my whole career, I've always been like, dude, I'm the lightest guy always in the room, so I'm always on the line. And inherently, every job I'm on, it's like my friends get to see, like, oh, it's really true. You get to do every. It's
not a myth.
The legend continues.
You be killing it though, so that's
I appreciate it. It definitely makes you feel alive still, and that's why I kind of wanted to not talk about it selfishly, but I more so wanted to talk to you about it, like as you try to make this transition into acting. Granted that you have had roles that fall upon your action background,
right?
Do you still find yourself like missing the urge to perform, like in stunts? Like, do you think you'll always want to still do it?
I think I still want to do it without a doubt.
Okay.
I just want to do it all. You know, in a selfish sense, I want to just do everything. I want to do the fight, and I want to do the crying scene. I want to do the romance. I want to do the jumping out the car. I want to, I feel like it's, why not? You know, Hollywood has been pushing this kind of thing of like, these guys are big action stars and stuff like that. And I want to bring that back, and you really see it, you know?
Yeah.
That's why we enjoy watching like John Wick movies. You know, it's because we see Keanu's face while he's doing the throw or going through the pain. And I think that that's really fun to watch, you know, and I think it's also something that will inspire the next generation as well if they see more of that, you know?
Yeah,
so
100%.
It's just like, we can do it. Why not?
And what's crazy to think about in a lot of ways, and it's been hitting me lately, which is like, even though stunt work is not consistent,
right?
For us, it's more consistent than acting.
Oh,
stuff.
Definitely. Definitely.
Which is crazy to think about, you know, because I'm sure there's some people that are out there that are trying to get into stunts that are listening to this that are like, you know,
I'm just trying to get in. Like, I'm trying to get a yes. I got to get my SAG card.
Yeah.
You know, how do I meet coordinators? I got to hustle. How can I hustle in COVID-19 era?
Yeah,
you know, like how can you, all these questions are now coming up because everything is kind of changing all of a sudden, you know? And it's just one of those things where you just have to persevere, and you have to just like really push to make the art happen, you know, like go out there and shoot stuff. You know, that's what I was doing. Like while Paper Tigers was being made, I was trying to shoot stuff. UALA happened, Outcast happened. So it's just like, all right, well, like while I wait for the footage, let's go make some more footage.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
You know, while you're waiting for that meeting with that coordinator, what skills are you working on? What skills what are you practicing? What are you going to be good at? What do you want them to know that you can definitely do?
Yeah.
So it's just, it's constantly doing that. And when it comes to doing the acting side, it's like hoping you're going to get an audition.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Like, can I get an audition? Am I going to get an audition this week?
Is that we all hear about the roles,
right?
Yeah.
We hear about all the time, just constant. Especially being a stunt guy, you hear about what films are coming out.
Yeah,
you know, and they haven't casted yet.
How can I just get?
How can I get into that room? Let me get into a room just to read. Give me a shot. You know, and that stuff it gets frustrating at times, but you just gotta roll with it because that's how you gotta pay your dues in a sense again.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And along the lines of like staying visible in just in entertainment in the sense of the word, I think a lot of people now are starting to recognize your face, and you're gaining more followers from your recent appearances on Corridor Digital.
That's helped
Stuntman
so
React.
much, bro. It's so weird. So the other day I went downtown to the market with all the food spots in it.
Yeah.
And I'm getting an egg sandwich because it's the weekend. I was like, oh, I'll do, I'll break my rules. I won't be vegan today.
Yeah.
And a girl walks up to me and is like, you're Gui from Corridor Crew?
Crazy.
I have a mask on.
Yeah.
Like, and it's either they know this by my face, like just up here, or they hear my voice.
Yeah.
Right. And I usually hate my voice. Like, I can't watch myself because
Oh,
I have a complete, like,
I hate watching my host.
I'm just like, yo, like, why can't you talk like a man?
Or I'm like, why'd you choose that word? You know?
Right. Like, what are you
doing?
So it was that kind of reopened my eyes even more. Cause yeah, it's cool like seeing guys walk up to you, but to have a girl walk up to me and be like, can I take a picture with you? Cause you're Gui from Corridor Crew is like, holy cow.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
happening. Yeah, the reach that YouTube has is so massive. Like, I feel like a lot of people get intimidated and think that it's overrun, and obviously it is flooded with content at this day and age. But the reason why even I still do stuff like this is just because like there still is an audience that exists out there, and it's continuing to grow if you're consistent and stuff.
And
like
they just want it.
Yeah,
just want more content. The more content, the better.
I mean, dude, I'm guilty of it too. I'll run out of stuff on my phone sometimes on YouTube, and I might just hit the refresh to be like, something cool, please show up on the recommended page. Refresh. Okay, there's something cool.
Exactly.
You know, that's crazy. And so, like with the Corridor guys, like, how did you get linked up with them initially?
So it's funny because back in the day when I was coming up in stunts, Eric Linden had called me on to do some little short videos for them. They had like a Rayman thing that they did, and I got called on, which was really fun. Fast forward 6 years, doing a thing with Wes Armstrong. Wesley was good. Was good. Shout out to my boy Was Good. And we're shooting a little short, and it's actually in their little opening section to court where their actual office is.
Okay.
And it was very weird, coincidentally, that they were working on what if Captain America Civil War was rated R. And they're doing the opening sequence in Lagos with like blood splatters and stuff, and they're just about to finish it. And Wes is like, "Oh, my boy, he was the Black Panther stunt double for that film." And they're like, "What?"
Yeah.
And they're like, come in. And they're like, "Oh, so you were?" I was like, yeah. And they're going to where Captain does the back kick to the guy. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's me."
Yeah.
And they're like, "What?" And then from that point on, they start being like, "Oh yeah, let's talk, let's do that stuff like that." And we started getting connected. Christian hit me up. He was like, "Hey, so we're doing Stuntmen Reacts. You probably seen it." He sent me a link showing Eric Linden on it. He was like, "We would love for you to come on and be a guest, and we can talk about Black Panther and what that experiences was for you on Civil War." And I guess they really enjoyed that. That little sequence we had. And it turns out that we're we ended up being really cool friends, talking shit to one another, playing Smash Brothers and doing all that kind of stuff. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're like one of us." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm absolutely one of you guys. Totally. I'm one of the nerds."
Yeah.
So let's and just kept calling me back. And then one day they were like, "Hey, so we would like you to possibly be one of our guest co-hosts."
Dope.
You know? And I was like, "Yeah,
yeah,
I'm down." They're like, "Yeah, we feel like our rapport with you, we're we got a good chemistry going." This and I'm like, "Yeah, like I'm down. You guys just let me know when y'all need me, and let's do it."
That's dope.
So it just friendships, relationships is really important, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And not even that it's like you need to do it for it to lead to something.
Right.
But the fact that you had an open door is better than like a closed door down the road.
Exactly. And it's so much fun. Like, I get to talk about the stuff that we're passionate about, you know? Because I am passionate about all facets of performance. I love stunts, you know?
So I got to ask you a question, dog.
What's up?
Does something ever come up and you know someone that's in it and you have to hesitate on what you say, or do you always go full out about your personal opinion on it? Because that would be the toughest for me.
The toughest is definitely like trying to come from a place of positivity, and it's easy for me now to do it because I know that my role is just to express the the science behind it, the
yes,
the experience to educate, to inform.
For lack of a better term, you're like the Daniel Cormier on the UFC fighting.
Right.
You don't have to be the John Anik, Joe Rogan necessarily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm there. I try to just be as informative as possible, and with that, it allows me to not be as critical or in a sense being a hater for a lot of people in some people's eyes. I just try to talk about the actual stunt, the process of which is going through, because of course, you know, like there are things where I'm like, that was janky.
Yeah.
Absolutely janky. But at the same time, I know that it's not just the stunt guy. It's a whole bunch of things that add up to that, right? That lead to
give them time,
exactly,
money, yeah.
Right. So it's giving that information, and then that's why I give that information. It's like, well, yeah, but these are the possible things that can happen. And now as an audience member, you're learning like, oh, it's not just a one man show. This whole thing is collaborative. It's a team project.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so. Yeah.
100%. And that's one thing that is so hard for people to see from the outside, because there is so much content these days, is that you just see a movie as a movie.
Right.
But people need to realize, like, there are movies that are made for $1 million and there's movies that are made for $200 million.
Right.
And like, there are so many variables as a result of that generally speaking, the $200 million one should be so much exponentially better.
Right.
Should be.
We
say this because there have been many bomb films that have bombed that are $100 million plus films that did nothing at the box office.
Right.
And never
so
saw the
crazy.
light of day again, you know.
John Carter.
Yeah.
It's one of the ones.
There's a lot.
There's so many.
There's a lot. Yeah.
And it's like, how did they miss? How do you miss? What exactly leads to that miss, you know? It's pretty interesting to think about.
It is a tough one. Yeah, it is something that I've always wondered too, like who has the final say in greenlighting things. Obviously, it's the heads of the studios and stuff, but yeah, I see some stuff and I'm like, that should have never been made.
It's like at that point, they gotta just be like, well, we already put all this money into it, so let's try to get some of our money back.
Totally. Totally. And at the same time, then I see other movies that are so successful, and I'm like, I wonder if I had, like, if someone put the script of The Hangover on my desk,
right?
Would I have thought it was genius necessarily, or would I have just been like, this is too crazy, you know?
Facts.
Yeah, and then highest grossing comedy of all time,
right?
You know,
Matrix.
Yeah.
Matrix is another one of those.
Same thing.
Hey, we're gonna send this to Will Smith. Will Smith was like, "What are you trying to sell me on?" No thanks. I'm gonna go do Wild West.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be wearing these capes and doing all this. Yeah, I'm gonna do Wild West, bro. At least he did have a fire song on Wild West.
He did have a fire song.
Yeah, that song was dope.
But that was considered a big flop.
Dude, Jeff Amata tells me that one of his big regrets was not doing Matrix.
I can imagine. Yeah. That's right. We had that conversation back in Boston.
Yeah, he went off and did something else, and I forget. But he's like, yeah, it
was some pirate thing, right?
It was.
It wasn't pirates.
It wasn't pirates. It was something where he definitely was like, I should have done Matrix.
Yep.
It wasn't one of those where he was like happy that he chose.
It was due to a relationship he had.
It was something. Yeah, it's
something
crazy.
Like that.
But yeah, I mean, and that's the point that we're getting to, is where you have to like pick and choose projects, almost making sure you align yourself with the right ones. But it's always hard to guess and tell.
Right.
You know,
it's a shoot in the dark sometimes.
Yeah, man, it's really great. It's like that one, you know, that I just recently had to turn down, which from the outside perspective, if you see the names attached as the lead actors,
right,
like 1, 2, and 3 on the call sheet are massive stars.
Right. It's like the Knicks.
Yeah.
Very good on paper.
Very good on paper.
But they never make it to the playoffs.
When I saw like the underworkings of like how fast, like, I mean, guys, the stars of these movies, this movie that I was just recently about to coordinate, are massive A-list stars that probably had some of the biggest box office stuff back when we were growing up in the 2000s and stuff. You could probably guess based on those names. But yeah, either way though, they were trying to shoot the entire movie in 12 days.
So wild.
Which can be done. It's
Absolutely.
not to say you can't shoot a movie in 12 days, because I've seen it done. I've been a part of those. But personally speaking, I'm just like, I'm at the point where I just want to create such memorable stuff.
Yep.
That I don't want to like sacrifice time and knowing what could happen on like a Corridor Digital when you're watching it. You're like, damn, that was hot trash, you know?
Right.
Yeah, it can happen.
I would never do that to you.
I mean, we did, like you said, we did a movie in Boston that came out, and it was kind of hot trash.
It was kind of
But while we were filming it, we knew, I was like, man, the way the DP is approaching this filming of action is not the best.
Yo, it's crazy because we can tell
right away.
When you're in it, you can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell. Like, right? It's just like, oh wow, yeah, this is
questionable.
How can, and then sometimes they surprise you and you get something good, but for the most time your gut will tell you, it's like, this is what this movie, okay, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, it's something that happens a little too often. Yeah, it's a little bit crazy. Now, since you were on here also, like, obviously we talked about you having the chance to be Black Panther stunt double, but one of the other ones you got to do that I think was a cool one that I just wanted to ask you about was the opportunity to double Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Project Power. Yes. Which was a huge Netflix hit that came out.
Really good.
Yeah, it did really good. Dope. And how did you get the chance to work on that? How long were you on that project for?
I was on the project for 2 months. I actually got hit up by Corey DeMeyers first. Yeah. And I said no. I was like, no, I don't want to. I'm focusing on the acting thing. We're shooting UALA at the time.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't really want to double. I've been burned a little too much.
Yeah.
Dealing with certain actors, and they're people's personalities sometimes they'll mix. And I'm very much I speak my mind.
Yeah.
And that can bother people. So be careful with that. But living your truth. You have to live honestly, and I'm one of those people that is like, I'm gonna be honest with you. And it took some persuading. Mark Michione was like, bro, they need somebody. Like, Corey's my boy. Corey's a cool guy. Yeah. Alvin's there, Yoshi's there. I was like, oh, Yoshi's there. I like Yoshi. I like Yoshi a lot. Alvin's there. Alvin Singh. I like Alvin. I like Alvin Singh a lot. And I was like, all right, well, it's New Orleans. It's only 2 months. Like, all right, fine. I'll go out. I'll go out there. I'll do it. And then it worked out, and the biggest blessing was meeting Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Because he's also somebody that I get, like, I've been from doubling, I'm super worried about meeting my heroes.
Yeah.
Right? Because you never know.
What if they're jackasses?
Right.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for me, I've met a lot of jackasses. I've run into a lot of them.
Totally, dog.
And it sucks because they might not be, it might not even be me. It might just be something that I did that makes them feel some type of way, or they're dealing with something else, and that's what this is just their only outlet, and this is their opportunity to feel big. So they're doing that kind of stuff, and it just doesn't sit well with me. So I'm just like, why make you look good if you can't even be a decent human to me?
Totally.
Right? So Jamie was a great human. He was a great lead, and it was also an opportunity for me to learn. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I took. I was like, okay. Thought about it. I was like, Jamie Foxx, Oscar winner. He's done amazing things. I grew up watching his show. I grew up watching him on Living Color, the Jamie Foxx show. Like, this is like, ideally, I would love a career similar to Jamie Foxx. So let me go and see what is Jamie Foxx.
Okay.
Right? So I go in. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, and I saw the work ethic. Bro, he had us fly back to LA and come to his house to train him, to teach him the fight choreography. Like, not many actors are that committed.
No, not at all.
Right?
Yeah.
Then he shows up every day. We're working on the choreo. We're back in New Orleans working on the choreo. Every chance we get, every time he sees me, he runs it at least 2 times with me. I'm like, okay, I see that. Then you see like how he is when he's in front of camera, and then you see how he is when he's not on camera. And that was the biggest thing. How you are off camera.
Yeah.
Right? It's nights. It's wet. We don't know what the hell the directors are doing. Right? And it's just like people, you start to see the morale go down. This man has a backpack that has speakers in it and is just playing all the jams.
Tight.
when there's time, and just boosts up the morale. You're like, oh, this is what it means to be a lead.
Yeah, 100%.
This is what a lead actor is.
Yeah.
He comes in and brings light.
Yeah.
And when it's no long, when it feels like a job, he does. It's one of his priorities to make it not feel like that.
Yeah.
On top of having to be a character in a film and live as if all this imaginary stuff is really happening to him.
And
right?
he has to be in the scene when they yell action.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, okay. I had my notebook. I was like, and I got yelled at a couple times. They're like, why? The coordinator was like, why are you always next to Jamie? I was like, well, 1, you guys want me to be there for when he needs me there, and 2, there's nothing else. Like, I'm trying to learn. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna be. If he doesn't have a problem with me being next to him, I'm gonna be in the distance, but I'm gonna be right there, making sure I'm able to see every move he does.
Yeah.
Because I want to learn, and it's the same as if like you go out there, you want to be a director. Watch the director. Watch what he's doing. Watch how he's looking at frames, how he's talking to the actors, and that will that teaches you stuff. If you want to be a stunt coordinator, you follow that stunt coordinator around. You watch what he is doing. Don't just wait for him to tell you to move a mat. See if you can watch how he navigates the set. Watch how he's navigating the set. Watch him.
Yeah. I feel like that's something that a lot of us get guilty of too, is like early in my career, I was very guilty of it too. I would just show up, do my job, perform.
Right.
And that's it. When I wasn't needed on set, I'm like, oh, I'll sit in my trailer or I'll sit off to the side with the stunt team. I'm just going to sit there and just, not pay attention necessarily to anything unless they're calling my name.
Exactly.
But then over the years, when you become a sponge, man, it's like, dude, people ask me how I know so much. It's like, just because I listen.
Exactly.
I'm listening to every department, what every department's saying, the names of this item. I'm learning the names of gear that other departments use so that when I'm a coordinator, I can say something and not look like an idiot.
Exactly. And then you talk to the camera guys like, oh, what lens are you guys using here? And then you start learning that kind of, and then you can hit another, you're on the next job and you're like, hey, so what's your frame? Okay, cool. And then now you make hit. Now it becomes even more collaborative rather than like, oh, I'm the stunt guy, you're the camera guy. It's like, no, we're going to do this together. My job is to make the best product I possibly can within my power.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, I feel I have to know as much as I possibly can about the process in general, so that way I can help the other person.
100%. And dude, at this point in our careers, after having done it for me over a decade plus,
right.
At this point, it's like I'm at that point now where you start to see a lot of familiar faces on shows.
Right.
When I was first in the industry, I remember like, you have a bad day, you don't have to necessarily like be rude to people, but you kind of just like don't care. You're kind of like, I'm just here for a day, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
As I'm getting older, I'm starting to be like, oh, like, hey, it's the same makeup lady on this show. Hey, it's the same hair lady. Exactly. It's the same,
same wardrobe guy.
Exactly. And you start to see, and nothing is cooler to me than when I'm on a show, like even on Shang-Chi when I walked up, it was the same caterers and the same prop team that we just had on Snake Eyes.
Oh, dope.
So everyone's walking up to me like, Travis, you're performing? It's good to see you.
Right.
The makeup girl, bro, turned out to be a girl that I did my first non-union commercial of all time on Dell Computers 12, 13 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And I took my mask off. She recognized me. And like nothing was cooler than like all these random people being like, hey, what's up? Good to see you, Travis. Good to see you. And like that's the stuff that when I'm on set with Jeff Amata, it's like every goddamn person on set knows Jeff Amata. Everyone. Every person knows Jeff Amata. And that's one thing that like as I get older, I'm like, man, I really value relationships, but also the way that you interact and treat people on a daily basis. Like don't take for granted that you're just there for one day on a show.
Right.
You may be stuck with that person 9 months on the next show.
Exactly.
And just not even remember or think about it,
Yep.
Yeah.
It just is you be mindful of those around you.
And it's crazy, man. And like, we can cut this out if you don't want to talk about it. So I'll preface that now. Yeah. I'm ready to hit it in the edit. But you don't have to say like the person's name. But I know like you specifically, like you told me like a couple months ago that you had an interaction with someone who in the industry previously, you had like felt like you rubbed the wrong way and you were able to like right that wrong and said that it was like, a good like, I guess, sense of relief in just being able to do that,
Yeah. I got into a thing with an OG without knowing. Like I didn't even know, which was crazy,
and
right?
That's what's crazy when you don't even know.
Like I had no idea that I had slighted this person. I thought that we were on a rapport where we're able to do that kind of thing or talking to one another. I didn't even know that he felt that it was a miscommunication, right?
Yeah.
And it went on for 5 years, 6 years without being able to really talk.
Crazy.
Fast forward, year 2020, I'm riding my motorcycle because that's my new hobby. That's the new thing I wanted to learn how to do. And go up to the rock store and pulls up on these bitchin' fucking, sorry for cursing, these dope Enfields, Royal Enfields, like old school, like 70s. And of all places to run into them. And I was like, hey, I walked up, I was like, I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm sorry. I had no idea. I think there was a huge miscommunication. I had no idea. I want you to know that you are great. I look up to you as a stunt performer and as a coordinator, and I never had any intentions of offending you, ever. I did not know what was going on, and I wish we had spoken about this earlier.
Yeah.
And I just left it as that. And he was like, I'm happy you spoke to me about it. I was like, yeah, I would have spoken to you a lot sooner if I had known.
If you knew, yeah.
If I knew. So it's just a matter of communicating, you know?
Yeah.
So
100%. But the moral of the story, though, is that like the relationships are the most important thing in this business.
Absolutely.
And it's like the fact that you were able to go up to him and you know, and try to right something that you didn't know was wrong is like the most important thing.
Right.
So.
That's it. That's part of being a man as well, right? You
100%.
take accountability. Like regardless of whether or not I meant to, I did.
Yeah.
Right. So
and it's all
because
perception.
I did, I have to just take that.
100%. I think that's like the most important thing for people to take away. As I mean, dude, we've all been guilty of making mistakes in our lives and stuff like that.
Right.
But it's like, what can you do at the end of the day? Like, do you let that like continue to sit on your brain, or is it something that you're able to, you know? Right.
I refuse to be a victim. I've always wanted to be a victor. So regardless of whatever wrongs put me through, whatever tribulations or anything like that, we're going to push through. Mm-hmm. And if we can write something, we're going to write something.
100.
Right.
And like we talked about, it's like, you know, as we continue to work in this business and try to work our way up, like you're only going to see the top tier guys more and more so.
Exactly.
So there's going to be more shows that you're on with those guys, you know, and it's like just by, you know, possibilities of deduction, you know,
right.
There's only so many limited amount of talented guys that will be on certain shows. So
facts.
Got to make sure you do it.
Get
right.
smaller and smaller. It's crazy.
It's crazy to see. It's almost our generation's time, like in a lot of ways. And that means, and please, anyone listening, that's no disrespect to everyone that's been a mentor to me,
right?
And to
and
all
me,
of the,
right?
All of the quote unquote OGs. And we don't say OG in a disrespectful way.
Nope.
We say it in the most respectful, humble way possible. But it is crazy to see that a lot of our friends now in our age demographic are starting to coordinate a lot of shows.
Yep.
Whether it's, you know, TV to features, and it's slowly happening from fight coordinators to stunt coordinators.
Yep.
And we're starting to see this wave start to turn, you know.
It's really cool to see everybody growing.
It's crazy.
It's really cool to see, you know.
It's crazy. The industry in a whole is changing too, though, and that's something I wanted to ask you about in general, which is are you starting to see more roles available for you? And I only ask that in the sense that as an Asian American,
right,
I am starting to see more roles pop up. You know, we had, you know, from Crazy Rich Asians to Shang-Chi is a huge one, but even down to things like little victories like Louis Tan being cast as a lead in Mortal Kombat.
Right.
It's cool to have a half Asian American represented as
Asian American. I feel for a fact is I'm definitely seeing a grow in that, which is really cool to see, because for the longest time, like being really close to Ryan Potter, that's been something that we've constantly talked about, you know, because we're both in the same shoes. Like, well, I feel like there's not enough black roles, or, you know, and he's like, well, there's definitely not enough Asian American roles. I'm like, touche. So I think there are more films happening that allow these roles to come to par. However, those roles are still being taken by the elite few, right? So at the end of the day, there might be like the Tom Clancy film that just came out, No Remorse. Michael B. Jordan took that. Mm-hmm. More than likely, they're going to pick from the top 5 guys, right? And now we're starting to see Asian America build their top 5 guys, which is really cool. You know,
cool. It's starting.
So you're starting to see that, but it's not a necessary. It's not necessarily we're letting new people in. It's more so like, yeah, there's more roles, but now that just means that the top 5 guys are going to be working. So hopefully, the goal is that those guys are all working, and then I get a shot.
So they need more. Yeah.
Just like how it worked for me being on all those shows growing up as a kid, growing up in the stunt industry, is like, well, Aaron Tony's not available. Kofi Elam's not available. Like, so
Clay's busy.
Clay is always busy. So so it's just like, all right, once I get, like, I'm waiting for those guys to get really busy, and then for there to be more to happen, then I get a shot, you know? So
yeah, hopefully there is more and more stuff becoming available. At least it's cool to hear the entertainment industry publicly talking about trying to add more roles, because at least for the longest time it was just an unspoken thing swept under the rug. Right. At least now there's some like publicity for it.
There's a little light to it.
Open conversation, you know, and whether or not we get to see it in our generation or not, at least it's cool to see some sort of progress being made in some sense of the word, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see, man. What did you think of Mortal Kombat? Did you see it?
I saw Mortal Kombat.
Spoiler alert for anyone out there listening. I haven't seen it yet, so we won't give.
I
away
won't give
everything.
any story.
Yeah, we won't give. Yeah, exactly.
Won't give any specifics.
No story away.
No story. I thought it was a very fun movie.
Okay. Cool.
I think it's fun.
Okay.
I think that's
how's the action, I guess.
The action is there's like one or two good sequences.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay.
But that's also because I'm like super critical on fight choreography.
Yeah.
And fight performance.
As
right? We are, right? And I felt like it they didn't do anything groundbreaking.
Okay.
But they did their best to play to what Mortal Kombat is, and that was the goal at the end of the day, right? Yeah. So I think that they succeeded. I think that they got a passing grade. I would give it action wise like a C plus. Entertainment, I would give it a B plus.
Okay.
Entertainment wise, yeah, you sit there and you can enjoy watching the movie. You know,
okay,
it's definitely fun to watch.
Yeah, and as we talked about earlier, like the disclaimer we gave is like we don't know what parameters are given to the action team,
right?
Or maybe no time to shoot, maybe no second unit.
We know nothing. We don't know what maybe the editor decided he wanted the fight to look like this instead. You know, because at the end, once we do the action, that's it.
Yeah, it's just crazy, and the only reason why I asked that, and it's not to be critical of anyone on the action team, because like we said, our homie Lewis is the star of the movie,
right?
So I want everyone to go buy it and support it. But more so, I just wanted to know, just because it's something that I feel has been so common, which is these action-based franchises just seem to miss a little bit, like on every single
just
one
like,
of them.
Oh, you were so close.
You could have made that so cool. You know, it's like, I mean, dude, Mortal Kombat is something that so many people are fans of from our generation, generations before and after us. And I just feel like, things just don't always hit when they try to make these live actions of
it's definitely hard to take a fighting game and try to make a narrative film about it.
I can see
that. Because a lot of the fighting games themselves are a bunch of characters with little short stories that are now, and it's all about the fighting for a title, or
and it's like, how do you pick one main?
How do you pick
a fighting game when there's 30 something?
Exactly, right? So it's all about where your focus is, and we've also seen them try to do focusing on other characters.
Totally,
we've seen like the Chun-Li movie back in the day that Denise was in.
Yeah, I forgot about that for the longest time.
Right? We've seen those get done, and they still kind of miss the mark. And it's like, what exactly is it that we're missing in order to make those adaptations really work and touch everybody, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's still a question I think we're still trying to figure out. As the more video game adaptations come out, the more I feel like we're gonna kind of get a flow and idea of what it is, and then there's gonna be that one that everybody's like, that was the one.
That was the best. Yeah, because right now we have friends that are working on Halo. Halo's being done in Europe right now, which is going to be an interesting video game adaptation.
That's going to be really interesting. I'm very interested to see how they do that.
It always makes me beg the question, or like lends my brain to thinking about it. Do you think the comic-based recreations are so successful because they have such story to draw from?
Oh yeah, it's like getting storyboards early, right?
Yeah.
Except what Marvel did was they took that and they were like, we're going to take the characters and what makes the characters and kind of give you some familiarity, but then we're going to give you something new. We're going to add to it. We're not just going to rip straight from the comic book. We're going to give you something similar, but make our own universe. And that's where that's where I think the true enjoyment and success comes from. Is like not pulling strictly from or taking from, because those stories are already told.
Yeah.
We still kind of want some new, right? We want familiarity, but we also want something that's something new to us and exciting. Because if they just do the comic book, we all read the comic book.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, well, I already know the story. I know how it's going to end. But if you switch it up a bit, then now it's a little exciting.
You know? I'm super curious to see if they're ever going to actually pull through and make the live action Miles Morales film.
I'm really hoping they do.
And a part of me that wonders about it is like they've done the cartoon version of it, and the comic version of it,
and it
killed. But live action, I think that'll be a big tell about the state of the world and where we're at necessarily, maybe as far as acceptance is concerned. Because that'll be an interesting
I'm
one.
very worried about Miles Morales being live action adapted, only because this Peter Parker has taken a lot from Miles Morales' story.
Okay.
Going to the school, having the best friend, Asian best friend, the love interest. It's very much Miles Morales' story put on Peter Parker, right? Which made me be like, okay, so what are you gonna do when you do Miles Morales?
Yeah.
Right.
So what is he gonna have?
Yeah.
It is cool to see though, and obviously this conversation is delving into racial topics because obviously you and I are both minorities for lack of a better term. But it is cool to see that there are just more things for kids to view. For example, we talked about Miles Morales. We have Shang-Chi coming out. We also have The Rock is doing his first superhero movie as Black Adam for DC Comics.
And you got Miss Marvel.
Yes, you got Miss Marvel. Exactly.
Which is so dope. You have like it's slow. Batwoman just became African American.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Like you're starting to see these things happen, right? And and now there's talks of having a black Superman.
Yeah.
There's and it's just more and more we're pushing diversity in the realm of our entertainment industry and what we're digesting off of television, which is really cool to see. And it's not just the stereotypical archetypes of black gangster or Asian doctor,
rapper,
or so on and so forth, right? It's not. It's now it's to the point where I feel like maybe in the next like 5 years they won't even in the breakdown put a race.
Yes,
which would be really.
That'll
cool.
be really. It'll just say 20s,
right?
Late 20s from New York or something,
right? Because there was it's actually really funny. I watched it's not funny. It's very interesting. I watched an interview between Jamie Foxx and Michael B. Jordan.
Okay.
And Jamie was like, let's talk about like your audition process and what that's like for you, And I'm thinking like, this man auditions?
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan auditions?
Yeah.
What? And Michael B. was like, well, like I told my agents, don't put me up for any roles of black guys. Give me all the put me up for all the white guy roles.
Wow. And see if you can.
And he's like, because at the end of the day, just being black is just being black.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be part of the story. I'm just a black guy.
Yeah.
Right. So like you look at No Remorse and they're not really, they don't have to touch on this guy's black. The story is not about that. The story is about a soldier going out to revenge for his wife and child being killed. So it's like the stories that touch us, that make us feel necessarily doesn't need race. It's just people.
Yeah. 100%.
Right. And everybody can play them.
They're universal emotions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, I think that's really cool to think about. I'm in no way near being able to tell my agent that.
Yeah, let me go for the white roles.
Hey, just don't put me no black roles. Just put me, and they'll be like, yeah, okay. And the casting directors will be like, we're not looking at that.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan can do that because he's Michael B. Jordan, but. Yeah, so.
No, it is cool to see, and it's something that's so crazy because I feel like it's something that as we get older, like even just as we get older as friends, we start to have more conversations openly about race and diversity.
Right.
Even the conversations the last few weeks at work with Ben Jenkin and stuff.
Yeah, straight up.
But it is kind of crazy. Like when I was younger, I didn't necessarily even view race as like a thing like that. Like I never even thought like, oh, it would be cool to see an Asian superhero. I just live my life like, I have a great life. Everything's cool. But things have started to hit me like as I get older, like, and I talk about on the JAMCast about how I have certain regrets in life and stuff. Mm-hmm. One thing that I did notice that really hit home with me, and it's why I thought of the superhero thing, was Jeremy Lin, who from New York, was a New York Knicks player who anyone else in 2012, Jeremy Lin took over the NBA for 1 month time.
Right.
Had probably one of the greatest runs of any NBA player getting their first starts in history.
Yep.
Scored the most points of any person getting their first 3 starts of all time.
Right.
Took over the world. But what was cool about it was that, he was an Asian American playing basketball. And just yesterday, he put out a tweet basically saying that this last year, he tried to give it one more run going to the development league for the NBA to get back in the NBA.
Yeah.
And he didn't get called up. And so he basically put out a post yesterday saying like, it was a great run. I tried one more time. I appreciate all the support, but it's not going to happen.
Right.
But then he said, like, I wish I had done more for Asian Americans in the NBA. And now the ball's in the court of the next guy. And I was like, damn. If I'd seen more guys in the NBA play, maybe I would have pursued basketball more seriously. Because as you know, I love If I could do anything, bro.
We got basketball hoop in the back.
If I could do anything, y'all, I would quit tricking. I would quit parkour. I'd quit stunts, and I would just play basketball professionally. But growing up, I never saw any representation except for 7-foot tall Yao Ming, who's obviously not like me at all.
Right.
And so you just don't think that things are possible. And I think that's the biggest issue with having diversity in the entertainment industry is just showing kids what's possible.
We're visual. We're visual creatures, right? Yeah. We a lot of the stuff we see first before anything. And when you can see something, it gives you the possibility. It gives you the thought in your head that you can do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So seeing an Asian American superhero, the young Asian American kid sitting on the couch looking at it is like, oh, I can do that. That can be me. That's me. I see me in that. And that's something that I've constantly had, in a sense, drilled in my head as a kid. Yeah. You know, my heroes were Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Right. I had but it was like the martial art guys. They're
all Asian.
They're all Asian.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like, okay. And they're doing movies. They're doing stuff I wanted to do. Like if you were to ask my mom how was I as a kid, she was trying to get me into acting when I was way younger, and I was like, no. I'm gonna be Bruce Lee. I'm gonna do Taekwondo. I'm gonna go to the Olympics. I'm gonna be a martial artist first. Yeah. And it just like for that, and then like when I hit my teens, I was like, I get it. I want to do what was done for me as a kid. Seeing Batman on the screen, even though he wasn't a black guy, but seeing Batman in the costume, in the mask, punching and kicking everybody back in the day, I'd come out the movie theater punching and kicking. I want to do that for the next kid, right? And that's always been the goal. So it's just like seeing that and acknowledging that like what we're doing is for the next generation.
Yes, is
the biggest thing for 100%. Me, right? And it's cool that you're seeing that.
Yeah.
Right. And it's also cool that you didn't have to move in the light of thinking that all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can now choose to be like, I'm jumping into it, you know, and both sides are really cool. And it's, we have work to do.
Yeah. 100%.
We got some work to do.
Yeah. And at the same time, it's also proof that anything is possible. And I feel like that's something that a lot of listeners hopefully can take away from all of the JAMCast guests that we have, which is all of us were just born as individuals from different cities around the world. And we've all gotten to the place that we're at just by the choices that we've made and the work that we've put in.
Right.
And obviously there's still a lot of work to do, but at the same time, it's like really cool to see all the things that have been achieved by our friends already, you know?
So sick.
It's crazy.
I got the coolest set of friends, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy, dog. It's mad crazy when we think about it at the root of it, you know? So hopefully much more to come, but
definitely.
It's been a crazy journey already getting here.
Yeah, love every second of it.
We got rehearsal in 2 hours from now?
Yep. What time is it?
Yeah, we got rehearsal in a couple hours from now.
Yep, we got rehearsal in an hour and a half.
Amazing, guys. But yeah, you know, more than anything, dog, you know, thanks for stopping by.
Of course.
And
thanks for having
sharing
me.
some insight. And it's crazy to see all the things that have happened.
Yeah, bro.
Much more to come.
Much more, way more.
Crazy to think about. So, obviously I asked you this question before, and so I'm going to kind of ask it again just to see if it's pivoted in any sense.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? And then where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
5 years from now, I see myself on a big screen with everybody watching me. 10 years from now, I see myself accepting an award for the hard work that we've done. Because I want to be doing it with you guys.
Yeah.
I think that'll be the coolest thing. Will be us on that stage holding a golden statue, just like hella celebrating. Best film.
One of the craziest things ever.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it would be one of the
I'm putting it out there
craziest
right
ever.
now. It's happening.
Put it out there.
Yeah.
Everything we put out has come true in some way.
Right.
So here we go.
Here we go. It's gonna be fun.
I'd also like a really nice house universe.
Yeah, universe give me a great house that is still a 30-minute walk.
Yes, exactly. Hell yeah. So before we get out of here, man, can you just let people know where they can continue to stay up to date with your journey and just look in that camera and tell them your social stuff?
Yeah. Hey, you guys want to see what I'm up to next or what I'm going through? Check me out on Instagram on Gui Dasilva. It'll probably be somewhere like here or here or here or in the description.
Hell yeah. Yo, guys, with that being said, please be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe for brand episodes each and every week. Join us every Monday for Jam Breakdowns and every Friday for brand new JAMCast, interviewing influential members of the movement community like Mr. Gui Dasilva himself.
Thank you.
So with that being said, guys, got to give one more very special shout out. Thanks for coming through, homie. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. Thanks for having me again.
Yes.
And thanks for listening, guys, for you guys that decided to watch this long-ass winded dude talk.
And as always, guys, coming through, I'm your host, Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us here on another JAMCast. Until next time, we'll see you all soon. Peace.